Thank you so much. We don't talk a lot of sports on ABC 50 now, but when the buzz is this big, we must. On Friday, Cardinals fans had their hopes of seeing Peyton Manning playing in Glendale dashed. Now it looks like he's a lock to become a Denver Bronco. ESPN reported the news this morning, and the story's been trending online ever since. Now, one of the big questions now that Manning looks to be a Bronco is what happens to Tim Tebow? His winning ways were one of the big topics last year, and he appears to have lost his job. And we want to know, what do you think of today's developments? Joining us to discuss this topic and much more is Valley TV and radio legend Pat McMahon.
That's another word for old, isn't it? The legend thing?
No, we're not going to downplay the legend part, Pat.
No,
Come on.
Look at this guy.
I know,
Isn't there a Wallace and Ladmo Museum now?
Sports director Craig Fluey. Craig, I'm sorry, we can't throw the legend at you.
No, Craig, look, we're getting too many laughs over here.
And
so,
me.
Craig, what do you for crying out loud?
Let's take it away.
Peyton Manning, it's not finalized yet, right?
No.
They're still having
But they're
meetings.
negotiating. But it's a matter of signing a couple papers.
Pat's taking over the show
$90
already.
million, Pat.
I'm saying he should play for the Vatican Vikings. That way, then everything would work.
Touchdown, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, would we get him? How would we negotiate, even with the $7 million payoff that we just made to Cobb? Huh? Would we try to get Tebow?
I don't think so. There's no reason to. I mean, he's not even a plan here. He's a different kind of an offensive guy, right? Tim Tebow is a runner. He's a scrambler. He's that guy that doesn't throw the ball real well. So that's just not in Ken Whisenhunt's plan. So he's going to have to go somewhere else where they want to do that wildcat offense, where they have a secondary quarterback to somebody else.
Yeah, I know I'm a guest here, but do you mind if I ask him another question?
Hey, you know what,
here?
Pat? It's your world. I'm just living in it, pal.
No, right, and I'm doing it for free. So what I really would like to know, though, is...
I never get invited on your show.
Yeah, this is interesting. We're all watching, Pat.
Considering the fact that we have the juggling of the quarterbacks, right? And will Tim go to Tennessee because his wife has a house there and all of those things? The reality is with Tebow, though, I don't know whether he's going to remain a quarterback.
No, and that
the guy could be a receiver, and he could be a very tall running back.
Or a tight end.
Yeah,
or a tight end type. That may be the case, and he was projected coming out of Florida that he would be a tight end in the NFL, or a running back, or an H-back.
Because
he can't throw real well. Yeah, so that was the question. And then, of course, the Broncos go to the playoffs last year and beat the Steelers.
Let's talk about Manning back with the Broncos.
Oh, yeah, Manning. That guy.
How much are they going to pay this guy?
All the word is 5 years, $95 million.
Oh, my
with about
gosh.
60 guaranteed. So
we
that
should
was
have been quarterbacks.
And that we should have been.
But that's not the biggest contract in the NFL by any means.
But we should have been quarterbacks. No, really, it wasn't a matter of where he went because the money was going to be the same.
Okay.
So it really came down to where he felt the most comfortable. And clearly, with John Elway in Denver, you have two great Hall of Fame quarterbacks talking and communicating to each other. That makes a lot of sense.
What about being familiar with the opponents that he's going to face?
And that's the other thing. Being in the AFC, that was a big plus too. I'm sure.
You're surprised I know this stuff.
I am very impressed, Pat. Hey, our viewers have also been sounding off on this. Let's go to some of our viewer comments and see what they're saying. Tim writes in, huge risk taking Manning on. Glad the Cardinals didn't get him.
Wow.
Elizabeth Hayes writes in, really, Peyton, just retire and go with some dignity. I want the Broncos to have a chance to go somewhere. Christy writing in, he would have looked much better in a Cardinals uniform. In hindsight, I am glad he didn't choose Arizona because of the risk you take of another injury. And Molly writes in, that stinks for Tebow. I wish the Cards could get Tebow to come here. I think he'd be a perfect fit. You don't agree with that?
No, Ken Whisenhunt's offense has nothing to do with Tim Tebow-like style. So that's not going to happen here. This is a throwing coach, and he's going to throw the football down the field and try and get some running game going, but it's not a wildcat.
I wish
quarterback
that Tebow hadn't gotten so much garbage, though, about the faith. I mean, that
whole
thing
that was
just
crazy.
really bothered me.
I'm a big Tim
He's
Tebow
knocking
fan.
himself out.
I like Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
I like the way he plays. I like his style. I like his leadership in the locker room, and that's something, one of those intangibles, that you talk about. You can't put a price on that.
And I'm sure he's a fan of yours.
I think we are.